So it's been reported that Jonathan Yaniv, who likes to go by Jessica Yaniv, who says he's a chick, but he's a guy. He's not had the surgery yet. I doubt whether he's taking any hormone pills. To me, he looks like a guy with a wig on. It's been reported that he has been locked up. Now, apparently the rebel media says he was locked up and then released. But for those of you who have not been following this very crazy story, there is a trans activist, or if you want to say tranny activist, by the name of Jonathan Yaniv, who is best known for attacking reporters who come after him, asking him questions, and hiring, or not hiring, but suing small immigrant-owned beauty salons because they refuse to wax his scrotum, his balls, his penis, all this sort of stuff. They refuse to do the Brazilian wax on him. They say it would not be very pleasant for him, and it's just something that they don't do. They're not going to do something like that on male parts. And for that, he tries to sue them, and he doesn't even sue them in a legitimate court. He sues them in something called a human rights tribunal, which is pretty much something that is dedicated to finding every white person on the street, and if they even look at somebody who is gay or who is dark-skinned in any kind of way, it could potentially be the last thing they do. But anyway, we'll not get into that too much. And they also go after people like me, black folk who may not toe the dark skin line, and if they fall out of the plantation, they'll try to tear me up too. But the reason why this individual was arrested was because a rebel reporter by the name of Keean Bexte, a nice looking guy, I guess, young, works for Rebel, decided to, I guess if you want to say egg Yaniv on, but decided to go to find Yaniv and say, look, do you expect jail time? Do you expect to be held accountable for trying to invite children to a topless or naked pool party without their parents? These are things that Yaniv does, and, people are pretty angry about this stuff. These crazy things coming out, this whole thing about men deciding to go into bathrooms and, I'm a girl when I'm not. The people are getting pretty tired of this, and people are getting really angry at the fact that these people seem to really like to include children in their fetishes. Whether it's, reading stories, transvestites reading stories in libraries with to children, or teaching children that there are more than two genders. People are getting pretty sick of this. And so Rebel, I don't agree with Rebel on anything. I think they're too Zionist for my liking, but I really support them on this. They have decided to confront Yaniv about many different things. Why are you suing these companies for refusing to wax your balls when the Brazilian wax is specifically for women, and people don't have to touch your balls and dick if they don't want to? Why are you inviting children to a naked pool party and specifically saying to parents they're not invited? Why are you sending sexually charged messages to children trying to sound like Elmo? These are things that he does. Why are you saying that you can have a period when everybody knows you can't? Why are you doing this sort of things? Why are you claiming that you're on disability, and then you've been caught on camera running like Usain Bolt whenever a reporter comes, and bashing them up the side of the head and punching them up whenever they come? This is where my war with Yaniv started, when she assaulted a good friend of mine who I used to work with, David Menzies of the Rebel. Me and him and Kevin J. Johnston of Freedom Report used to do a weekly radio show called Rebel Yell. We don't do it anymore, but we used to do that. And he's a good guy. I mean, he's a very professional individual, great guy. We worked together. And it was just me. And, you know, I care about people who I know personally, especially when I work with them in a professional way. And when I see this clown whacking David with a stick, I mean, I say to myself, I was almost tempted to go down to Vancouver where Yaniv lives and go and ask her questions myself and let her try and hit me with a stick. I promise you I would have ended up in jail. I promise you. You can attack Keean, you can attack David. If you ever attack me with a stick, walking stick, I promise you, that will be the day when Arana Nation, the commander-in-chief of Arana Nation, goes to prison. I promise you, because what I would have done to Yaniv, God would have cried shame on me. And God doesn't like Yaniv. But, you know, she has a couple of run-ins with the law. The first one that I know of was when she was being interviewed by another trans activist, somebody who's a little bit more tempered and temperate and reasonable, Blair White, and Yaniv said, you know, I need to make sure that I'm protected in Vancouver, and then she pulls out a taser, Yaniv, and discharges it on Blair White's show. And then that's when Blair White uttered those very famous words, "Was that a moment for you?" It's even a GIF now. I mean, it was a perfect comeback, and you know, you had Yaniv smiling and smirking. She's been on InfoWars. Everybody's been trolling this person, so I can understand the fact that she doesn't really like the media, because she always makes herself look like a fool on the media. Now, granted, I don't agree with the fact that Yaniv was charged for the taser incident. I don't agree with that. In fact, to be honest with you, I don't even agree with the fact that she was charged with this thing. I mean, you know, if you don't want to be spoken to, I do think that David and Keean should have fought back, and that should be legal. Fight back. But I don't think if you don't want a reporter talking to you, you don't want a reporter talking to you. You know, but it's just sad that this individual gets arrested for these things, and the porn, well, not the, well, the pedophilia, the hepaphilia, you know, these frivolous lawsuits, sending sexually charged voice messages to children. The police aren't even bothered with that in this country. So you get arrested for discharging a taser. You're not hurting anybody with the taser. In Canada, you get charged for discharging a taser, but nobody cares about pedophilia and hepaphilia. Maybe it's because Justin the Tackhead and Mac Daddy Trudeau, who is our prime minister, he's got a lot of friends who are in jail right now because of pedophilia. So I can give names right now. I mean, this country is literally being run by a pedophile lover, and I'll say it. I don't care. I'm tired of being respectful to these kind of people anymore. Canada is run by a pedophile lover. Let me give you some of these names. The names, I've done reports on them before, and I'll do it again, because, I mean, you know, it's time these things were said. There was one guy who, the Mac Daddy, Justin Trudeau, went to university with. And, you know, it's like, hang on one second here. The one guy he went to university with, and I mean, look at this. Even if you even look at like Ontario, the former premier Kathleen Wynne, the new sexual sex education curriculum. It was written by a person who's being convicted of pedophilia. So Canada's leaders just seem to really like to be cozy with all these pedophiles. And it looks like Google is trying to hide all of these articles, which I have spoken about. Yes, this guy, Christopher Charles Ingvaldson, 42 years old, a long-term close friend of Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau, has been found guilty of child pornography charges. I've spoken about this many times. Many times. I actually spoke about that either last year or the year before, but That's one of the main ones. And there's another one, too, who he went to McGill with. So I'm not surprised that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, which runs that area that Jonathan Yaniv is in, and all the police services there, I'm not surprised that they're not looking into this and taking this seriously. I mean, the guy's literally heard, there's video, there's message, it's proof that he's sending voice messages of him trying to sound like Elmo to children, talking sexually, and I mean, nobody's taking this seriously. It's because our country's run by people who either are pedophiles or who are very comfortable with pedophiles. But in any case, the guy is in jail. I hope that all the worst things happen to him. I mean, if anything, if the cops don't go after Yaniv for this whole pedophilia and hepaphilia, the people in prison will, because people in prison don't like that sort of things. I mean, he's not in there now. He's not in prison. He was put in jail. I heard he was taken out, and I don't know if he's going to have a trial or what, but the Rebel looks like they're taking this very, very seriously, and they've got a lot of assets. I mean, Ezra Levant, I mean, that guy, these kind of people have a lot of resources, and they really look like they're ready to tear this guy apart. I mean, as I said, I'm not saying Rebel is perfect, but anybody who attacks my man David Menzies is an enemy of me. And whatever the Rebel can do to destroy this guy, I will support them. Even if I think that the things he's being charged with, like discharging a taser, I think we should be discharging tasers to send a warning to our officials, hey, don't mess with us. But anyway, personally, if a reporter, continues to harass me, I don't want to speak to them, okay, whatever, but this is Jonathan Yaniv we're talking about. This is not a good person. This isn't Rob Ford, who was being attacked by the mainstream media on charges of drugs and all that stuff. When he, I supported him when he chased away those reporters. But this individual is a pedophile, likes children in a bad way, goes into girls' bathrooms, not women's bathrooms, but girls' bathrooms. There are pictures of him going into girls' bathrooms and messages that he has written on social media saying, I wanted to help a little girl with her tampon, and he's obsessed with periods and all this stuff. I mean, the guy is gross. The guy's disgusting. This guy better pray. I mean, I know some people who are in jail right now. If he goes to jail in Toronto, there are some people I can call up right now and say, hey, come get this person here. And lastly, I just want to say to the LGBTQ community, even these people don't like Jonathan Yaniv. Blair White doesn't like Jonathan Yaniv. All these people, they've disowned him. They say that he does not represent LGBTQ. But here's the thing. Where were you guys? And maybe you guys, Blair White is pretty good at going after individuals who go overboard. But all these other LGBT people who are offended by Yaniv, where were you guys when this movement was taken to a whole different level? Saying that there are more than two genders. Sending these people into our libraries, teaching nonsense to our kids, demonstrating how anal is done in schools. I mean, the Ontario sex ed curriculum being written up by a pedophile. These kind of things encourage people like Yaniv. So, when you start a fire, it's going to get out of control. Now, you guys can't be upset when someone like this feels comfortable in your organization. It's almost like when people, have dog whistles, dog whistles in politics and stuff, and then they get upset when people like the Ku Klux Klan get comfortable in their movement. This is what you guys have done. You guys, whether you like it or not, you guys have made Yaniv feel comfortable in your organization because you never stood up and went after people who were going too far with the LGBT. Where are you guys when naked men run around at gay pride parades showing their dong to children? Where are you guys to stop tell them to knock it off? You guys created Yaniv, and you have to live with him. This is the Arana Nation.